which was February. Do you remember February 2019, where you were the last speaker and you did a workshop on how to build an ERC 720 token?
I've been giving that workshop forever since.
That's fantastic. Cameron, do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
William was awesome. I don't even remember how many people in the audience, William, but you went through it and it was fantastic. And what do you think now is the direction that this space is taking, given the sort of upheaval in crypto?
It's great. From your perspective, it's a little rough. I'm sure we're not going to get the same type of sponsors for the event this year that we had maybe in 2022, but we're thinning out the weeds from the crop. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 60. And we've got surprise guest, Jodee and Cameron from NFT.nyc, tireless organizers, bringing you NFT.nyc, the largest event in the NFT space and probably the largest event, crypto, pure play. Definitely the largest event for builders, artists. They never fail to amaze. They're always coming in with brand new things. Today, catching up again with Jodee, this time publicly. I really wanted to open this up and just ask about the event, which we're always talking about on this show, and you personally, you plural, to hear, why are you doing this? What is everything here?
Thank you so much. Well, Cam and I were dreaming about this back in 2018, and we were thinking, how do we tell people about these interesting things? And they weren't even called NFTs then. Cam, do you remember we were sort of musing about, do we call it a token or a coin or
Nifty?
You actually registered NFT.nyc in August 2018, didn't you?
I think it was before that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was July or August 2018. So we jumped off the cliff calling it NFT, which when I explained to my wife, it meant not something, which really wasn't a very good explanation. We dreamed that one day people would be interested. And in the first year, when we first met you, I think we had more speakers than attendees back in February 2019, and then a little bit more in February 2020. And then, of course, it all took off in February 21. And our values have always been the same. We wish to give the community a voice. Anyone who's passionate and has a great idea, we welcome them on stage. That's number one. Number two, we want to bring like-minded people together to share their ideas. And number three, we call it proselytizing. We want to share with the media and the broader community all the really cool things about NFTs. And, that might be art NFTs, it might be fashion NFTs or property, anything that we think an NFT can solve. This year, someone said to us, well, surely NFTs create engagement. That was our fourth value, that NFTs can be used to create engagement. We couldn't talk about that back in the early days because no one even knew what an NFT is. So, William, for the first time, we're telling everyone on your channel here that we're adding a fourth value, which is use NFTs to create collaboration and engagement. So that's sort of the high-level philosophy. Where are we up to now? Is it our sixth or seventh event now, Cam?
I think it's the sixth.
We're at sixth. We just did London. We've had 2,000 speaker applications. Speaker applications closed February 10 or earlier. We're thinking of closing it earlier because we've had so many submissions. There are at least a dozen different tracks, so NFTs have become many different things. We've had 4,000 artist submissions.
I think art is the gateway drug to NFTs. It's sort of the Trojan horse because people understand that art can have value on its own, some intrinsic value that's derived from all sorts of different things. It doesn't necessarily need to have any sort of attachment to other markets or anything around it for the art to have value. And so art has been sort of, as we know, like the first thing that really popularized NFTs. It's continuing to be one of the biggest growing communities that we're seeing from the NFT.nyc perspective. One of the things we want to give artists the opportunity to show their work. Last year, we started something called the Community Artist Showcase, where we invited artists from the community to submit their artwork, and then we would put them up in gallery space and on Times Square. So it was quite amazing. You could see like an artist who maybe had never had their work shown anywhere or who had never sold their art as an NFT yet, and we're giving them a chance to get their artwork up on Times Square on a billboard alongside some really big names. We started it last year. It went really well, and then we rolled it out again this year. And I think in just 20 days, we had over 3,500 artists apply to be a part of it.
500 on the wait list, so I think we got to 4,000, which is huge, William.
The result is that we have all these artists, and we have a really great space that's dedicated to them. We're calling it the Artist Village. It's on the rooftop. It's this like amazing steel and glass pavilion. It's on the level 4 rooftop overlooking the Hudson River. There'll be a gallery space to show all the works from the artists that have been selected, including our 17 featured artists. And then 200 of those artists will also have their work shown on Times Square billboards.
The other thing that we've tried to do, and it just comes back to my point about the forced value, is we've tried to use NFT technology in our events since day one. And we're actually about to share a blog post which sort of goes through the history of how we've used NFTs at NFT.nyc. Cam, I know you're working on something called Digital Twin at the moment.
A lot of people believe that NFTs are a great solution for ticketing. I agree with them. And one thing that we have found is that some audiences are not quite ready just to have a dedicated NFT ticket or a ticket that is solely an NFT, where they need to, fully understand the nuances of wallets and ownership and security and all of those things. And so one of the things that we've been focused on is how we can sort of create a stepping stone from traditional ticketing applications that people feel comfortable with to introducing NFT tickets to those people and showing them the utility of having an NFT as your ticket. We've developed this integration with Eventbrite that actually creates a digital twin ticket, and you can actually use the NFT to complete your badge information for your name badge at the event, to reveal a QR code to scan into the event, and have all of the utility of what people would expect from an Eventbrite ticket, but all via the NFT.
Anything you can do to improve or add happiness around the ticketing process is good, because NFT.nyc, it's hard to get tickets. And when you get there, they've got a whole floor just for checking in. There's 12 different colors badges that you can get. It's tough.
100%. William, I know you do a lot of work in the NFT community. What are you seeing is the trend for 2023?
So big picture, I'm quoting here the 5-year plan, or the 10-year plan, really. We're in phase 2 right now. Really what this is I saw a little bit of this at NFT.nyc last year, where we had Busta Rhymes on stage. Looking at his speech, it was really somebody from the outside, really somebody who's established, got hooked in from somebody who's on the inside and is looking for a collaboration. I think you're going to see a lot more famous people, or let's say established artists, coming in that they're not here to build their brand, they have a brand, they're here to sell things. We've really established what's possible here. How do we build engagement? How do we grow things? How do we collaborate? This is because it's new to us. This is our first time collaborating. This is our first time engaging, right? These are new things. For these other people, they've been on tour for years, decades. Those are the type of people that really should be embracing NFTs. We know it's coming, it's just that it takes a few years. My famous example was Reese Witherspoon. I said 2023 will be the year somebody like Reese Witherspoon comes out with an NFT. You know who Reese Witherspoon is. I know who Reese Witherspoon is. People on Twitter know who Reese Witherspoon is. Why isn't she selling NFTs? So she's going to make a lot more on NFTs than she will through another book deal. It makes so much sense. It made sense this year. It made sense last year. The difference is that Reese had a couple years to do it, and this is the year it gets done. As opposed to CryptoKitties in 2017, the idea came out in 2017, launched in 2017. We had an idea for a copycat in 2018, we launched in 2018. Reese Witherspoon has an idea 2 years ago, comes out this year. People like Reese Witherspoon have agents, and the agents have their own labels, they have deals, they have relationships that they need to respect. If you're going to copy CryptoKitties for the 5th crypto asset out there, you don't have an agent. You're in your garage, right? Over the next 12 months, we will see established artists, all kinds too. Headliners, beeliners, back office people, artists that are connected to big things, but they're not known. Great people. I didn't know you. I could look you up, but that's somebody who can capitalize on their reputation selling NFTs. And I think this is the year that you're going to start seeing these coming out.
Yeah, 100%. Go ahead.
I also feel like NFTs can be used to build digital constructs that will pave the way of the more prosperous future. Community-driven approach is going to be growing, and it's going to reform. We are in the beginning of a new way of handling things in every aspect. Collaboration and cooperation will bring along the way this beautiful world, which is going to be a digital construct built on top of Web3 philosophy.
Cam, we've seen the art community very much embraced NFTs, and we've seen collectibles embraced, and gaming. I think gaming is probably going to be the one that becomes mature in 2023. What do you think will be the next one? Ticketing also, and ticket stubs. That seems also to be gaining momentum. William, we've moved from these wonderful ideas that we had in 2019 and 2020 to actually seeing this huge wave in the art community, the collectible community. Now we're seeing it in ticketing. What do we think will be the next industry?
I think gaming's the next sort of mass adoption market, because it's just so easy for people to understand how traditional gaming companies are profiting from the gaming community they're participating. And it's an audience that is probably people that are, looking to see how they can drive revenue from the effort that they've put into those games. So I personally think that gaming is a really, really, really big opportunity. And I think that they're showing how sort of more traditional gaming, industry participant can adopt NFTs and hopefully lead to more and more game producers actually using them.
William, did you see that Mark Bowman LinkedIn post? I think it was last week or the week before, where he listed the 120 brands that were involved in this space. Just a huge number of brands who are some experimenting, some assembling teams, and some just going in boots and all to use NFTs to create engagement with their audience.
Yeah, the brands make sense. People think that shoes are going to be in the metaverse. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to talk about that. But Adidas, Nike, the shoe companies are making NFTs, and they get that. That makes sense. What are they going to do with it? We'll see. One of the people who had a booth at NFT.nyc last year was Ariane, working with luxury watch companies. You sell a watch, you get an NFT. That is really just a great use case. Connecting NFTs together at the same time when you buy the physical thing. And it connects so easy. Really, it's about NFTs coming to other industries. It's not so much about NFT replacing other industries. That doesn't make sense. Industries don't get replaced. I do like the connection to digital twin. They're just certificates of authenticity. It makes so much sense. We're already doing this. It's not a new thing. We're just using NFTs instead of barcodes or the little holograms that are supposed to be uncopyable.
I hope you don't mind. I'm sort of leading to a slightly different topic. I'd be interested in your view on whether you think we'll end up with, just like we have with operating systems and computers, sort of just one or two major blockchains. Do you think that there's the same pressure to converge to one standard? Or do you think that the NFTs support many different flavors of blockchain?
I think it's already happened. That is Ethereum virtual machine. I know it's not necessarily one network. So Ethereum is mainnet, but we also have other things like Polygon, Arbitrum, Tron, Binance, Smart Chain. These are all using the same compatible language. It's very hard to make bridges. Bridges are extremely difficult to make and they keep getting hacked. But you can move assets around these different networks. What is a network where you have a lot of different networks that are compatible and you can move things between them? That's an internet. The network has been established already. EVM is the main network, and we have other ones that are just not compatible. They're notable. They're definitely notable. These things are all out there, but obviously the main one is EVM, also including Hyperledger if you use Burrow. And so I know it doesn't feel like everything's connected. Back in the 90s or whatever, log into the Unix network at school, and then you have to dial into the internet. That's what this is. You're using Ethereum, but then you have to bridge into Polygon. The bridges just get faster. The blockchain networks of today is basically like email before the web.
Yeah, really interesting. You didn't mention Flow, though. We see Flow doing a lot out in this space.
For sure.
I think they've done a really good job in the space. So you think it is standard as EVM? Where would you put Flow?
Oh, it's just as a different network. It's just not compatible with EVM. There's nothing wrong with that. And in the future, you're going to see lots of non-compatible networks. This also includes every private network. But as we do corporate NFTs and blockchains that are based on supply chain where things are not public, a private EVM network is just as distant from Ethereum as Flow is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But that will just either be the consumer NFT network or the commercial NFT network or the private network. There's a place for all these things.
Talk a little bit more about the bridges, because there are a number of people in the market who are saying, yes, we can support a broad range of bridges and blockchains. You were making a comment about them being hacked. You don't believe in bridges, William?
I do. Bridges make a lot of sense. We have Polygon and Arbitrum. These are pretty simple bridges because they're very optimism. They're very similar to the underlying network, the L1. We have bridges like Polkadot, even custodial. Coinbase is a bridge. You put things on a Coinbase. We don't think of it as a bridge, but anybody who's holding your stuff, that's a bridge. So here's the problem with bridges. Bridges get started by people who want to start bridges. They're not funded by Ethereum Foundation, a bank. Banks don't make bridges. They're crypto enthusiasts, and they're typically thinking about getting a profit. It takes 8-9 figures to build a bridge, easily. So a lot of these projects will start with a person. They're like, okay, well, I've got a cool idea, and they start it. And then a lot of people use it. So they build it like it was $1 million project, and then over the course of a month, now there's $1 billion on it. Now there's $10 billion on it. The level of OPSEC for $1 million project is not the same as $1 billion project. Let's say I come along and I know how to hack it. And hacking things, having the idea in your head versus writing it up, that takes time. And I'm like, hey, I would like to explain to you how this is broken. Would you like to pay me a bounty? And they'll be like, yeah, I'll give you $500. I'll give you $500 is great when a network is worth $1 million. But if you've got $10 billion on it, you should be like, hey, I'll give you $100 million. That's when I would stop everything I'm doing. I would find 10 friends, make a pact, and write this up properly. I get $100 million. Now, $100 million is not a lot of money when you've got 10 billion, 50 billion, $100 billion on a network. We've all seen the news where 9, 10, 11 figures disappears overnight. That's not the time to be negotiating your bug bounty. So the projects are just way too big for their expected, launch. Now, that would be different if instead of money, you have an extreme amount of reputation. The industry is missing one person with reputation to say, this is the one. And that would just shut down all the other competition right away. Everybody would focus on it. And if Vitalik was wrong, that would really hurt his reputation and people would lose a lot of money. And there might even be lawsuits. And he knows that. Until we have somebody like Vitalik or CZ can come out and say, I endorse this bridge with my reputation. He could do that. Vitalik probably won't.
Interesting. And where do you see Lamina? Do you know much about what Neil Stephenson is doing? It is a blockchain and I believe it's EVM that he's building to really focus on metaverse. Love to talk to you about that when you have some time. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to Cam and I about?
Well, let me ask you, since I got you on the phone, of the 3,000 speeches that you've seen, what's the speech that you need?
Hasn't been submitted yet? That is a great question. I'd like to take that back to the programming team. William, that's a really great question.
So to the topic that you're talking about now, William, I think like a critical comparison of blockchains for NFTs is really interesting.
William, it's an absolute delight to catch you again, and I look forward to seeing you in person, and I'm sure there are other things we can be doing with you over the next few weeks.
Sounds great. Thank you. Be in touch. Have a great day.
Stay well.
See you, William.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Hey guys, it's Quinn Button here from NFT.nyc. I really enjoyed that conversation. It was really fun. And William, I just want to tell you how much respect I have for you. You have been coming to NFT.nyc since the very beginning, and you are an absolute legend. I just wanted to say that. And I'm so glad that Cam and Jodee came on here. It's really great to bring the whole gang together, and I can't wait to see you again in April.
Thank you so much. Thanks for bringing it the best every time, and I don't know how you do it.
We're a small and mighty team that focuses on automating, processes where we can and keeping it personal. It's been a crazy, wild year. You know how it was in 2019. 2019 was nothing like what it was in June with 17,000 people there. Working with Cam and Jodee, it's been an absolute joy, especially to meet great people like you and others who are on this call right now.
Well, I'm here for always. I'll be there. I don't know what the speech is yet, but I'm here to support the team. The whole point of this, the whole point of bringing everybody in New York is, we can see each other. We can talk about the different ideas we're learning. But really, the idea is to bring back. And even if you don't care about crypto, that's great. Just go in there and see the people with the passion for new ideas and just steal the ideas. That's what I love about NFT.nyc. There's so many different perspectives there that you can just steal all the ideas.
That's so well said. I love that you said that. It's like you're stealing, but you're also iterating, right? You take a great idea that speaks to you, and then build upon it and make it better. that's what it's all about. And also finding collaborators, builders. If you're not a dev, like, you need to find the right people that you trust. And there's still no better way to understand how much you can trust someone than actually meeting them in person.
What's the quote? You don't understand your weaknesses until you test with your enemy or something. And you don't
like that.
And then you don't understand your creativeness until you work with a collaborator. What's up, Salo?
Sorry, man. Sorry. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Silo, an artist from London. Learning experience. I just wanted to just talk a little bit about the journey. Like, I started in, say, 2020 when COVID hit. So I was early on the crypto art scene. Well, early-ish, right? Well, there's just so many things I've learned like throughout these years. And assets, right? You're creating assets. And that's got an implication. Like, now I've realized, like, playing with NFTs has tax implication. Like playing with crypto, moving crypto from one wallet to another has a tax implication. If I had known things like that before, I would have been probably a bit more clever the way I do things. I thought it was interesting. Also, I was doing my taxes actually. If you make a painting and you put it in a gallery, there's zero tax, zero, right? There's nothing. There's cost, right?
Yep.
But when you mint something, because you're using ETH to mint, then you're going to have to pay tax on the ETH you're minting. So basically, using the ETH in the metaverse has got a tax implication. Coinly, essentially what you do is you plug your wallets, right? You can plug your, like, MetaMask, your exchange wallets, ledger wallets, everything, and it just calculates everything. It's the solution I've found so far.
I love this conversation. Elif, I would love to, I will give you the floor to speak, but I find the tax conversation actually very, very fascinating. Coming out of the pandemic, the first event that I went to was Bitcoin Miami in 2021, and I was actually working backstage and saw the whole, like, when the government of El Salvador announced that they were going to recognize Bitcoin as legal tender. And I think that opened my eyes into how taxation might work across the world. And being in London, Silo, certainly I was educated from the perspective of various different countries around Europe, over in London and the UK, and then also in the US. Everyone's a bit different. So it's a fascinating conversation that I think needs to happen a little bit more. Taxes and security in terms of protecting your own assets and wallets. And then, William, what you're bringing up in terms of, like, influencers promoting different projects, that's a whole other can of worms that, is going to need to be talked about and regulated, but probably retroactively. And that's not fun for any of us to understand how this is all going to evolve without a roadmap moving forward.
The way I act is easy. I got in this space pretty early. I knew I was going to be here for a long time. And so I knew that means I have to do everything 100% legally to the laws that exist now, the laws that are coming out in the future, and the salty people that even if there isn't a law, they'll make up a law and come after you. So if I can't be fearless about selling NFTs and making them and talking about them and saying what's good and what's bad, then run. That'll be the canary, right?
Well, maybe that's a thread of your talk, William, as you're brainstorming what you want to talk about at NFT.nyc is, like, best practices from someone who's been in it before anyone cared. What standards do you have to hold to yourself to make sure that you're safe and everyone else who's around you is safe?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. How to avoid going to jail when you sell NFTs.
We need to definitely have more conversations about regulations and about the law and how to carry ourselves in this space, because as artists in this space, we have like dozens of hats and we do all of it ourselves. Also education on how to get professional services to navigate that. And I think that there definitely needs to be a lot of education so that we can protect ourselves. But I would definitely agree with you that, our rule is just try to do the right thing when no one's looking. And that's like, basic standards and common sense. So I think that until we actually have more information, conversation, education on what it actually, like, how is it all going to translate? How is the code and the law that they're currently working on going to affect me as a as an artist minting, right? As a small business person, I'm not a big brand. I'm not a big, player whale in this space. So I feel like we need more of that. I appreciate the talk.
The philosophy, states that it is transparent, secure, and also community driven. It is basically the pillars of the technology that we have to follow if we want to create.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Secure.
Security. Nothing is super secure. Nothing is gonna be like 100% secure.
Surely
in anything.
Your bank is secure.
But what I'm trying to say is, it is actually allowing more secure and transparent relationships.
Well, I will. I'll share a story. I think that, Alif, what you're alluding to is important. It's about storytelling and sharing the understanding of what this technology is right now and what it could be moving forward in terms of, self-sovereignty. And a conversation I had this week was with a woman who created a project called City X. Her mother, she's from the Ukraine. Her mother created the very first municipal art gallery in Kiev. She spent her entire life collecting 500 really amazing pieces of art. She understood how dangerous the situation was, and that basically her mother's entire life's work was endangered of no longer existing ever. The mother of the woman I spoke with this week, who all of her artwork, all of this original artwork is completely digitized and is now going to be minted on the blockchain forever. How do we protect someone like Crypto Novo, who has been just excited as a degen to connect and be with the community? How do we protect both sides? It's about just having a good conversation and picking up the problems that we see, debating it out, and then really trying to find what's the solution.